Oh, hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So a few months back I started to write my own recipe, and it's just so addictive to keep on writing because the imagination just keeps on pouring more and more. So I just have to make more of them, and I have been writing in my Harry Potter recipe book, my own recipe book. So this time in this episode I'll be sharing you guys something it's so extravagant but also easy. So I'm gonna share you guys a raspberry cake with ruby chocolate ganache monte. So baking shouldn't be something that anyone should be intimidated about, because baking is some sort of like an art that we have in our imagination, and bringing it into real life, into a physical form where we can enjoy and savor them. And so that's why this time I'm gonna be sharing you guys something so easy to make yet so delicious for you to enjoy during this summer. And of course in Singapore, in Southeast Asia, we are all year round summer except when it's a lot of rain and raining a lot. Lately it's quite a lot of rain. And all the more reasons for us in Southeast Asia to be enjoying this delicious dessert any time around. So let's start our episode with the preparation of our chiffon cake. Now this chiffon cake recipe, I have made it before in my previous episodes, but this time we are adding it together with some raspberries, and for that we are going to mix these ingredients first. So to start off, we are going to add all of our wet ingredients inside a mixing bowl. We are adding the egg yolk, the milk, the oil together with the vanilla powder. Mix it until it's slightly bubbly and light in color. And then after that, we are going to add the sugar. Mix it again. And for the dry ingredients, I suggest for you to use the sieve so that we do not have any lumps of dry ingredients in our batter. So the dry ingredients, our flour, the salt, the baking powder, as well as our raspberry powder. Now while we are at this, I'm just going to give you guys some information, the reason why we are using an oil instead of butter in our chiffon cake. So chiffon cake known for its lightness and softness of texture. So the oil helps to achieve this texture, and it helps to give more bubbly and airy, spongy texture when we bake it. Compared to butter, it will give a more dense cake instead of a light and spongy texture. Even if the butter is melted, it will still give a slightly denser texture compared to an oil. You still can experiment at home to use butter instead of an oil, but if you really want to get this soft texture of a chiffon cake, use the oil instead. So once the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients are well incorporated together, we're just going to leave it aside, and what we're going to do next is to beat our egg white. So for our egg white, it's so easy. Use your hand mixer, beat it until it's light, until when you lift the whisk from the egg white, it forms like a stiff peak on top of it. Then it's ready. mix this together, it's very important that we use a spatula and using the folding method, because we do not want to lose the air that we have already incorporated into the egg white. So add the egg white into our egg yolk mixture. If it's a bit difficult for you to mix the egg white and the egg yolk for the first time, use the whisk, fold it gently. And then the following mixing of the egg whites, we are going to use a spatula instead. This is, like I said, to preserve the air that we have already incorporated into our egg white. So once this is well incorporated together, we are going to take our 7-inch cake pan. My cake pan, I already lined it together with my parchment paper. Pour it inside. And then we are going to bake this at 150 degrees Celsius for around 1 hour to 1 hour and 10 minutes, depending on the temperature of your oven. So keep an eye on it when it's around 50 minutes to 1 hour. You might need to take it out slightly earlier. Just check using a toothpick in the cake around 50 minutes. If there is still batter sticking around the toothpick, means they need to be baked for another 10 or 15 minutes. If it came out clean, then it's ready. Once our cake is baked, we're just going to take it out of the oven. And then remove it from the mold, so that we can allow it to cool down. In my case, I want it to cool down slightly faster. So once it dropped temperature slightly, I'm just gonna trim the top part, the dome part. As well as dividing them into 2 sections. So we have our first layer and our second layer, and leave it to completely cool down. And now for the second preparation is the preparation of the Ruby Chocolate Ganache Monte. It's so easy to make a Ganache Monte, and we are going to need these ingredients. So to make this Ganache Monte, heat the Ruby chocolate in a microwave, as well as the 100 grams of whipping cream, just until the whipping cream starts to get hot. You can also use saucepan, heat the whipping cream, but in my case I'm using the microwave as well to heat my whipping cream. So Ruby chocolate is more sensitive than the darker chocolates because of its fluidity. So be mindful when you heat it inside the microwave using the 30-second interval. Stir it around before putting it back inside, and once our Ruby chocolate is well melted, we are going to add our whipping cream inside this melted chocolate in 3 batches. So add the first one, mix it up first. Once it's well incorporated, add the second batch. And the third. And once the chocolate is well incorporated together with our hot whipping cream, let's take our cold whipping cream, the 200 grams of the whipping cream, add this mixture of melted chocolate into our cold whipping cream, and using a spatula just to mix it up thoroughly. And once this is mixed up, cover it with a cling film. So the reason why we are covering this with a cling film is just to prevent it from forming the skin, the top layer of the ganache monte, because when we have the skin and when we use it and whip it, we are going to have a very irregular texture. So our target is to have a smooth ganache monte. So cover it with the cling film and the problem is solved. So for the ganache monte, we are going to keep it inside the fridge for around 4 hours. And once the 4 hours is up, we are going to take it out of the fridge, of course, and then beat it until it forms into a soft, creamy texture. And of course, we are going to transfer it into a piping bag. So this is the piping tip that I'm using. It's very flowery and beautiful. You can use whatever piping tip you have at home, but for me, I'll be using this. voila, our ganache monte is ready to be piped on our cake. Now is the assembly part, which is, you guys know, is my favorite part among all of the baking and the preparation. To assemble our summer cake, I'm just gonna take my rotating table and a cake board, and on top of the cake board, I'm just gonna add the ganache monte just a little bit, just so that the cake won't move. It's sort of like a glue to make sure that the cake stays in place. And then of course, pipe the ganache monte on top of the cake. So here I'm just using a circle motion when I pipe the ganache monte on top of my cake. Now for this part, you can skip it, or you can also buy a store-bought raspberry jam or raspberry compote. In this case, I'm using my homemade raspberry compote. If you would like to know how I make this, I'll put it in the description box so that you guys can check out how to make the easy homemade raspberry compote. And after the compote, we're going to fill the center with the ganache monte, like piping into a snail shape. And of course, gonna place the top layer of the cake. So I actually use the bottom layer of my cake to be on top, just so that I can have a perfect straight top of the cake and it will look more even and easier to pipe. So for the top, we are going to do the same, the ganache monte together with the raspberry compote in the middle. Now the centerpiece of the cake is actually my Ruby Chocolate Mousse that I have done from my previous episode. So you guys, if you want to check it out, of course, I'm going to link it in my description box again, so you can click from there. Very easy Ruby Chocolate Mousse that you can make at home, and quick as well. At the top of this dome, we are going to pour the raspberry compote on top of it. Pour it around, swirl it around, however you like it. If you do not wish to have the Ruby Chocolate dome in the center of the cake, you can also pipe the ganache monte in the center, like how you pipe at the edges, or however you would like it to be. You can also add some fresh raspberries or some shavings of the Ruby chocolates. That works so well too. And our raspberry Ruby Chocolate ganache monte is ready. look at how beautiful it turned out. It is almost exactly like how I imagine it will be, but in my imagination the raspberry is actually more going around the outside, but it doesn't matter because it still looks so cute, so beautiful, very summer feeling. The dome looks like an ice cream on top of it's like an ice cream cone. So let's just cut this so we can see how does it look from the inside and how does it taste like.
Nice.
It tasted so fresh and there is a sour note, a tinge of sourness from the raspberry compote, which plays so well together with the overall of the cake. And then the ganache monte is just so smooth and it's not so sweet. And that is why I like to use Ruby Chocolate, because Ruby Chocolate is very well known with the berry taste from it, the natural berry taste. So I guess that plays a very important role to tone down the sweetness and then elevating the berry flavor, especially when paired together with fresh fruits, with berries, strawberries, raspberries, and so on. For this, I really recommend for everyone to try them. You don't even have to have a very good piping skill. All you need to do is just make a circle motion from the piping, or you can just pipe using the piping tip along the edges without making the circular motion. I bet it still will look very beautiful, and it looks so beautiful without any cream on the outside. And the good thing about this cake is that we are not using a buttercream, but instead we are using the ganache monte. And ganache monte is well known for its added flavor and milky flavor when we add it into our cake, and it doesn't actually melt that fast compared to a buttercream when we put it in room temperature. And as you all know that during the summer and especially in the Southeast Asia, it's quite hot, so the ganache monte is very suitable during the summer season. I hope you guys are enjoying watching the episode this time. It's not so difficult as I told you guys. And if you made this at home, of course, let me know in the comment section how does it turn out for you. Or if you have any suggestion that you would like for me to bake in the next few episodes, do let me know in the comment sections. And I would love to know what's in your mind, what's in your idea. What's your idea? So I can make it into a reality. So before I forget, I'm just going to share the ingredients recap right over here so you guys can take a screenshot, pause the video, and try to make this at home. And so we have come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Don't forget to check out my previous episodes, previous videos. It will be interesting for you to binge watch as well. And I'll see you guys again next time. Bye bye.